Hey everyone! In this video, we're going to go into detail about how we design high-quality assessments for grades K through 2. We'll look at how to analyze assessments for potential barriers, and we're going to give some examples of assessments for you to think about. Now, in the intro video, Tracy gave us 3 big questions we can use to evaluate the quality of assessment. We want to ask ourselves, how is the assessment linked to learning? How does the assessment engage the learner? And what barriers might the students be experiencing? So let's keep those in mind as we look at some examples for this grade band.
Don't forget, we also have the playbook, which has additional resources.
Okay, so Bill and Allison, can you try to really set the stage for us? Help us understand what might be going through the minds of teachers as they're walking into the classroom this coming year.
You mean other than, oh my gosh, what the heck have I gotten myself into?
Yes, Bill. Other than that, could you try to help us understand the barriers and concerns that educators might be walking in with? Maybe put yourself in the teacher's mind and try to explain how you're feeling.
Sure, I can do that. I'm a first grade teacher. And what I love about teaching first grade is kids have usually gone through kindergarten and they know more about how school works. And now I get to really focus on helping them learn to read. I mean, at the end of the day, I, as a first grade teacher, am really judged on whether my kids can read. And let me tell you, I have an excellent history of my kids being able to read at the end of the year. So, a couple of things I'm worried about for the coming year is that kids will have missed almost half of kindergarten and they won't know how to be in school. And it's going to take time away from them learning how to read.
Okay, got that. So Allison, what do you think?
Let's say I'm a kindergarten teacher, and every year I know my students bring a wide range of background experiences and cultures to school for the first time. This year, we will add to that the pervasive fear of getting sick. Global pandemic is a big, scary word. I'm worried kids may come to school with fear of hugging me, that they could get a friend sick. We adults don't fully understand how to handle this or adjust our routines. How can we expect kids to grasp it?
Wow. Now, these videos really can't handle all of those concerns, but we can focus on helping teachers get a clear understanding of where a student is at in their learning and give some assessment techniques we can put into practice immediately. I guess before we dig into what my grandparents used to call the nitty-gritty of this video, I just want to say this. Teachers, you got this. Recent events have substantially impacted everyone's feelings. We're all experiencing a whole host of emotions, but it's okay. This year, maybe more than ever, we need to just have each other's backs. When you see a fellow staff member or a student doing something that's hard for them, whether it has to do with COVID-19 or not, I challenge you to just let them know you noticed. Be proud. Be proud of your students, be proud of your profession, and be proud of yourself. Okay team, so what are your top 3 suggestions for kindergarten through 2nd grade teachers when they think about assessing their students this year?
Okay, for kindergarten through 2nd grade, we want to engage parents in the assessment process early and often, keep assessments short, and design assessments that support students to identify what they can do. I think this first one, engage parents in the assessment process early and often, is really critical.
For sure, at this age, parents and caregivers have really been the primary educators in the child's life. Having flexible ways for them to share insights about a child's strengths and about their concerns helps the teacher learn more about that child and creates a culture that values the whole child.
Which of course creates a culture of actively engaging parents in the learning process and helps them understand that the purpose of assessments is to show and track growth.
And the second one, keep assessments short, is somewhat self-explanatory, but we can do this by having flexible, quick, informal checks that do not feel like an assessment. All children, especially young ones, can clam up or respond in atypical ways when they feel like they're being assessed. Quick checks that are informal and authentic moments can be used to assess the skills you are working on.
Right. Teachers could watch and assess how children respond when asked to do informal things, like clean up the classroom, or share with a friend, or talk in front of a small group.
Okay, great insights. Now the last point, design assessments that focus on what students can do. How should educators be using that recommendation?
I think that last point really reminds teachers that we often have a culture within education that focuses on deficits. We talked about this in the intro video. And that culture is incredibly problematic in so many ways. But especially at these early ages, we need to help students realize their strengths and develop a growth mindset about education. That means understanding that we can start planting those seeds early by highlighting and building on a foundation of strengths.
All right, guys, now let's drill down into some of the assessments that teachers can develop specifically for kindergarten through second grade classrooms.
Sounds good.
I'd also like to keep in mind some of the standards for these grades. So when it comes to writing in kindergarten, students should be able to respond to questions in writing with support from their teacher or an adult, and they should also be able to collaborate with their peers. And they're also going to start building skills around editing.
That reminds me of an assessment that I once saw a second grade teacher use. She was trying to help students develop more comfort and ability around reading nonfiction pieces. So she decided to work with the students to identify activities and thinking routines students could do or ask before, during, and after reading. She made those into stations and posted them around the room. Then students practiced. In the before reading section, she worked with students to identify things like finding a good spot and questions they might have before they start reading. What do I think this book is about? What do I want to learn? And what is the cover of this book telling me? In the next station, the teacher and the student brainstormed things they could do during reading. For example, questions like, what's going to happen next? What have I learned so far? And I wonder why. Also, strategies to persevere while reading. Stop and stretch, go to the bathroom. And then finally, after reading. Students and teachers developed questions like, what did I learn? What do I still want to know? And what information is important to me?
They could also come up with activities like tell their parents, share with a friend, make a note, or draw a picture of what they read. All support building comfort reading nonfiction.
Exactly. While the students moved around the stations on their own, the teacher said she was quietly assessing which students moved efficiently, and she noticed some students who struggled to move past the before reading station. For this teacher, the stations became a formative assessment.
I want to tell you about a reading teacher who worked with first graders to create their own goals. The teacher provided students with a few different goals to select from to improve their reading, like tone, volume, and fluency. They discussed as a group about what each of these words meant and what success looked like. Then, the students practiced with their goal in mind, reading with the teacher or buddies, or even on their own. Eventually, the students recorded or filmed themselves reading aloud and created a library of kids reading books. It's important to note that students could choose the book they read, which is also its own kind of formative assessment.
I love that example, Allison, because you're so right. I mean, if the students pick a book that's too easy for them, that could be a chance to really reflect on their confidence or how they view themselves as a reader, or how they might feel on that day, or what interested them about that book.
Also, the teacher can go around and listen and formatively assess the students as they read and offer strategies for improvement. And if you do the recording piece early in the year, how cool is it that later in the year you can show students and caregivers how much they have grown and improved over time, which builds that growth mindset.
These are great ideas, but what do you two think about that letter home idea that we discussed in the intro video?
For kindergarten through second grade parents, the most important message in that letter home is framing assessment and learning as a process of continuous growth. For young learners to develop a growth mindset, everyone around them needs to embrace the thinking and language of yet. I can't do it or don't know it yet, but with hard work, I can learn it.
Great point. We've included a bunch more ideas for the letter home in the playbook. Be sure to check that out.
Another assessment idea that comes from a first grade teacher. She came up with the idea based on a barrier she faced in her class's math discussions. She wanted students to share how they worked through math problems, but often students end up sharing unrelated facts like what they ate for lunch. The teacher valued these stories, but wanted them to develop skills about how to communicate about math processes. So she made colorful signs on popsicle sticks for each student with sentence starters. One said, I agree, and on the other side it said, I disagree. One said, "I would like to add to that." And on the flip side, it said, "I use the same strategy." These signs help students have a productive way to share and build off of each other. Students even added ideas for new signs. The bright colors help the teacher scan the room and get a sense of the concepts students might be struggling to grasp. And this can be used in remote learning as well.
Okay, so in this video, we've given you lots of tips to think about. We really want to stop now and just encourage you to choose one and really try it out in your classroom.
Great point, Bill. I would encourage teachers to think about focusing on formative assessments, especially for the first 3 to 4 months of the school year.
Yes, and don't be afraid to carefully and deliberately evaluate the quality of the assessments you use. In fact, if you want some ideas for doing that, you can check out our Designing and Evaluating Assessments video.
I really think we should all commit to fully embracing that this next school year is the year of growth mindset. No one knows what it will be like. It's going to look different for everyone, and it's going to be constantly changing and adjusting. The thing that can keep us on track is a growth mindset, a fundamental belief that embraces the power of learning, the idea that education is critical, and as educators, we can support this for our learners.
If you have questions or you want more examples of assessments, check out the playbook we created for this series. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.